Hello, I'm Mike Fountainopoulos. I'm your academic coach for Springdale Public Schools, and today I want to chat with you about what we're doing here in ACT reading. You're about to take the ACT exam here on April the 5th, and I just want you to be that much more successful and familiar with what's going on with the ACT reading and what they're driving at. So let's get right into it. The reading test on the ACT is designed for one thing, and that is to test your ability on how well you read and how well it is you comprehend what it is that you've just read. So it's a reading comprehension test, much like the science test is too. Really not a whole lot you can do in the form of studying for this like you could English and math. Those are based on curriculum and what you've learned from like the grade 7 up to now. ACT reading is really your ability to read and share with others how well it is you've read. Not read fast. A lot of kids can read fast, but then do they know what they've read? So that's really what they're driving at here. So while we're talking here today and going through this, please understand that that's what they're really getting at here is how well it is you've read, or that how well it is you read, and how well it is you can then tell someone what it is that you've read. And of course, a little bit of a caveat there is when you answer their multiple choice questions, you're answering their multiple choice questions that they created. So really, you're telling someone else what it is that you've read through their voice, which is a little bit daunting. That's where we get a little bit, some kids are like, I know what I've read, but it's not what they're asking me, and things of that nature. So again, familiarizing ourselves with the way ACT people talk is imperative. So let's just hop right in here. Number one, on the day of the exam, I wouldn't spend a lot of time reading the directions because the directions haven't changed in such a long time. I certainly wouldn't do that. Know the directions and understand what's going on. You've got 35 minutes for four different passages, and you got 40 questions in those four passages, 10 questions each. So you got about 8 minutes and 34 seconds per passage to get them knocked out, if that's the way you want to do them in a traditional sense. And we'll talk about those strategies later on in another video. But today I just want to kind of share with you how to go about reading a passage and then how to find those answers in that passage. And then let's talk about, so in passage 1, passage 2, passage 3, passage 4, they've kind of been the same format for a great number of years. There's always the prose narrative or the literary narrative, however they want to call that. Again, ACT people have bounced around on what they call that. But the first one is what I call a Little Johnny story. That's what that is. It's them trying to get you to, little Johnny's in the cave with the dog, and the whole town's looking for him. Where do we go? And it could be full of all different kinds of conversations in there, and then it could be full of different type of descriptive metaphors, imagery, irony, and things of this nature. The literary narrative can really be a pitfall because it's written by a professional writer whose art is writing. And so the last thing I want to do is be reading for pleasure on the day of a national exam, especially one that's timed. So you're going to find that literary narrative is one that I like to try to stay away from. If I'm going to do some good calculated guessing, that's the one I want to go to. But we'll talk about that on the next video. I'm just trying to describe really what's going on in each one of these. Passage 2 and 4 are a lot alike because they're social science and natural science or physical science questions. Today, in 2022, ACT calls these informational. They just leave it informational because they're usually nonfiction. There's information in them, and it's true information. So that's why they call them that. But they're still broken down in social sciences, humanities, physical or natural sciences. Okay. 850 words, 10 questions each. I like passage 2 and 4 specifically because they're written in a more formulaic, conservative manner. And that is to say, I'm not guessing what's going on in those things. There's usually a title, or there's always a title. There's a title at the top, and then I can probably glean from that title or just a few words in what's going on. And then I can use the body paragraphs, just a little bit of each body paragraph to learn how it's fulfilling what it said it was going to say. And then the last paragraph basically says what it was going to say, and then maybe prelude or give you an idea of where they're headed in the future. So there you go. And then the humanities it could be anything. We don't know what the humanities is. It could be Rolling Stone magazine article on how the Gibson Les Paul guitar came about. It could be where the Brady Bunch sitcom was born, or where it was filmed, why it was filmed there. It could be anything. It really could, and so that's why, again, sometimes it's another one that could be a pitfall because it might even be entertaining, and there you are being entertained on the day of a national exam, which can be scary. So I try to stick to the ones that are traditional, that I can kind of go to and guess. I know what they're probably going to talk about, and that they're going to be very uh, formulaic, if you will. So in each one of those 10 questions, you're going to see key ideas and details. You're going to see craft and structure questions, and then you're going to see integration of knowledge questions. Um, six or seven out of 10 questions are key ideas and details, craft and structure. Which, when we say craft and structure, we're talking about main ideas. We're talking about what's the tone. Who wrote this? Was it written in first or second or third person, first person, third person, whatever I'm trying to say there? You get my point. Integration of knowledge is analysis. Um, and there's some of those out there. There's not many, 1 out of 10, maybe out of a 40 question multiple choice test, there might be 3 or 4. Yeah, that's about right. So, so there you go. That's what we're talking about with the reading test. It's 35 minutes, 40 questions, and you got 4 passages to do it in. And so let's take a look at what is it that you want to score on this thing. Okay, get my pen out here. I want to score 23, and according to this raw data score that I pulled off the internet, I need to get 25 correct out of 40. Okay, and this is, in math there's 60. In English test, there's 75 questions, and in the science test, there's 40. And so here on this raw data score, they've decided that if you get 25 correct, you're going to make a 23. Okay, so now you can see what you've done in the past too. And by the way, these raw data scores move up and down ever so slightly. They don't move a whole lot. As a matter of fact, you can go to any of these throughout. Here's another. Is that one? Yeah, here's one. Again, a 23 going across. That's the one I pulled, I guess. So there's that one. Let's see. Uh, is this another one? A 23. I guess that's it. Let's do this one. A 23. Yeah, there's one. In this test, if you wanted to score 23, you had to get 27 to 28 correct. So it's still hanging around and just a couple off of what the other one was. And so, even more, when you take the test, you get something like this written back to you. And here we can see this is Ann C. Taylor, and she's a made up person by ACT. Here you can see that she scored 18 out of 30, 18 out of 24 on the key ideas and details, 6 out of 11, and 3 out of 5 on the integration of knowledge and ideas. Craft and structure, 6 out of 11, which happens to be probably her weakest area. Again, she made a 23 on this, and she got, what is that? It is so small, 18, 6, so that's 24, 25, 26, 27. So she got 27 out of 40 there. So there you go. And you can, there you go. That's how she's getting her score. And this is what she would need to work on in the future, is those craft and structure questions. So there's that. So let's go back to what we're looking at now. And now you can see what it is that you want to score. And I highly recommend that to anybody that is listening here, is please understand what it is you want to make on the ACT overall. Each test has its own 1 through 36 score. And then the whole test is a 1 through 36 score. So you're going to make 30, 31 in English, 28 in math, 27 in reading, 29 in science. Okay, so there you go. And then when you do that, you add those up, divide it by 4, and you get your overall score, whatever that means to you. So you need to start working on what it is you want your score to be. Okay, so there's that piece. Okay, enough of that. So now In this natural science, in this reading, here it is. I've broken it down for you in these two slides. So you got this first paragraph, and you got this last paragraph, and then you got all these uh, these these intermingling paragraphs, if you will. And so, yeah, there you go. So the first paragraph is going to tell you what you're going to talk about, and then the last paragraph is going to tell you what you've talked about, and then tell you a little bit of maybe where the future's headed. And then the middle paragraphs are going to give you evidence to all those things that you did talk about. Now, not all writing is broken up like this, but you can pretty much guarantee that it's going to be that way in passage 2 and passage 4 of the social science and physical science, because these are not professional writers. They're professional historians and professional scientists. So that's where their emphasis is. So anyway, you need to think of it that way, and that's why I go to those as my go-to. If I'm going to spend a lot of time on a couple of passages on the ACT, it's those two. I'm going to read this byline. I'm going to see that this is about the jaws that jump. 2006, Natural History Magazine, Adam Summers. I don't know who that is. You don't either. That's okay. We don't need to know who that is. But it is nice to know that he's got a thesis statement of the jaws that jump. Recently, I was reminded of just how powerful ants can be. Boom. I know this is about ants. A team of biomechanists had studied the incredibly speedy bite of a group of Central and South American ants. The team clocked the bite as the fastest on the planet and discovered that it also gives the ants a unique ability to jump with their jaws, adding an impressive array of already known defenses. Okay, so now I can write off to the side here what I'm about to read. I'm about to read about South and Central American ants who use their jaws to jump and to defend themselves. Okay, first, and again, I don't read all of this stuff in here. What I'm going to read is this stuff right here, because I've already read what the whole paragraph, what the whole essay is going to be about, story, passage, whatever you want to call it. And I could go down here and read this last one too. And I'll let you do that on your own time. Then what I'm going to come is I'm going to come in here and take a look at that. Trap, jaw, ant, nest, and leaf litter. Rather than underground or in mounds. There, they often feed on well-armored and elusive prey, including their species. So out to the side, I'm going to start writing. This is where they live. This is what they eat. Next, the key to the jaw's speed is that they release comes from stored energy produced by the strong, slow muscles of their jaw. This is why their jaws are so fast. This is why the ant itself is so fast. Next, fish. Again, notice I'm not reading all this stuff. What I'm doing is I'm learning. Once I get over here to these questions and they start asking me to go places, I'll know where to go. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm learning where to go to find answers. And then I'm just going to keep reading. And then here, if you read this further, you're going to find that there's two different kinds of bite moves that they have. The second kind is a jaw-propelled locomotion, blah, blah, blah. And you can read that. This over here is basically high-speed. Let's see here. I'll just read it. Fisher, Suarez, and other field biologists had already noted that catching these things was like grabbing for popping popcorn, a very hot one at that, because of painful sting. Again, this is another way they defend themselves, through their sting, through their bite. And again, that Latin word is probably describing the ant, what the ant's called. And here they've taken all that out and just put O. Bari, whatever that is. And again, do I care what that is? I don't. And that's what I want you to understand. You don't have to read and pronounce everything out. Just read it for understanding and moving on. Okay? And that's really what you're doing. Now you can start to come and answer these questions a lot better and a lot quicker. Here's a good example of what I'm talking about. Number 31 is a primary purpose of the passage question. You see these a lot in ACT, especially at the beginning of each passage full of questions. They usually come at the very front of those. What's the main idea? And if you're asking yourself, what's this story trying to say? Why is this writer writing this? You can probably already answer this. But again, think big. Don't think small. Think the answer's got to be big. if you can do that, you can answer a lot of primary purpose or what's the main idea about without even reading. Just read the answers. The answers that are micro are out. The answers that are big, oh, I bet that's it. And right immediately, right off the bat, the primary purpose of the passage is to provide an overview of the mechanics and key operations of the jaws of the trap jaw ant. Boom. What's the title? The Jaws That Jump. Recently, I was reminded just how powerful. There they go. And again, analyze these two guys and the way they filmed things. No. Compare the jaws against something else. No. Describe the evolution of the. No. All those are wrong. They're just wrong because they're so micro and they're just rarely talked about in the article. What's talked about is this overview. And again, that's the overarching big thing. Next, look at 36. One main purpose of the last paragraph. Now you're going to have to read. Now you got to read. Anytime they're asking the main idea of a paragraph, they're basically asking what that is. And again, sometimes that's really all you need to do is just read that first sentence, maybe the first two sentences, because that's going to be your thesis statement to that paragraph. Again, these are good writing tools to use while reading. So go through there and try to answer that. Over here, I will, if you look below where I've sent you this YouTube video, I have all of the answers where I got them from. Here's question 34, 33, 32, 40, 39. And I'm trying to tell you here what the answer is, why it's that answer. And then I'll also send with this a link to the clean copy of my notes. Like there'll be 4 passages that you can read. And then I've got the notes to all 4 of those, like you just saw, so that you can kind of work on this skill of reading first paragraph, last paragraph, and then those middle paragraphs, just reading just those topic sentences and just learning where information is and see if that doesn't help you. Again, this is extremely helpful. This skill that I'm talking about is extremely helpful for especially passage 2 and 4, which are usually science and history passages. So keep that in mind. Be looking for new videos coming out from me to you regarding reading tests and science tests and English tests and maybe a math test before you take that ACT on April the 5th. And good luck. And if you have any questions, please reach out and shoot me an email. I'll be glad to chat with you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.